Beginning of Chumash Bereshis speaks about the creation of heaven and earth. Bereshis bara Elokim es hashamayim v'haaretz. In the beginning, Hashem created the heavens and the earth. There's a famous pasuk at the end of Yeshayahu, few psukim, in Kapitel Samachay, Samachvav, chapter 65, 66, where he says that in the future Hashem will create a new heaven and a new earth. And this concept has generated much discussion amongst the commentaries. What is the meaning of the new heaven and the new earth? There's a few explanations that they offer. One rational, simple explanation is that life will be so much different, so much better, that allegorically speaking, it will be considered like a new heaven and new earth. It doesn't mean that anything will necessarily physically change, in the sense that it will be actually a new world, but that life will take on a whole new level of happiness and bliss and so on and so forth. It will be considered the new heaven and new earth. However, there are, as other commentaries point out, that there are those sources which interpret this quite literally, that in the future the Eibusher will create a new heaven and a new earth. What exactly does this mean? So there's various different explanations. For example, one explanation of a new heaven is that the Eibusher will create a new atmosphere, one which is much healthier to live in, without pollution and without all the ills that we have today. It will give us much better health. And then there is those that understand it quite literally, that there will be a new world created, a new heaven and a new earth. But most importantly, we have to understand what this means in our service of Hashem, in the Avodas Hashem that every Jew has. Alter Rebbe discusses this pasuk a number of times, both in the beginning of his Torah on this week's Parshas Bereshis, and also at the end of Likutei Torah, right at the end of his book Likutei Torah, he also discusses this. And the point that he explains is that heaven and earth represent the two modes of a person's service, divine service. The earth is the idea of ratzoi, the idea that a person has a desire to come close to Hashem. The heavens represent the divine flow that comes from above in response to a Jewish person's service down here. So in the future, during this our existence now, there's a heaven and earth. There's a system. Through our service down here, we draw down blessings. Just like physically we know that the earth gets sustained from the heavens through rain and the sun and the moon and so on and so forth, so too spiritually, through our service down here, we draw down divine flow from above. In the future, there'll be a new heaven and new earth. There'll be a totally new system. Won't be a need anymore for our avodah, for our divine service. Things will be in a much higher level. Things will come directly from above. There won't be, in the world will be completely refined. The whole system will be very different. It also means that all the level of spiritual achievements that we're able to achieve now are, compared to the way it'll be in the future, completely limited and insignificant. There'll be a new heaven and new earth. How will this come about? This comes about through the new revelation of the Torah Chadasha, the revelation of the new Torah. We know that the world was created through Torah. That is why the Torah starts with the creation of heaven and earth, because the power of creation comes through Torah. The Zohar says that when the Eibusher wanted to create the world, he looked into Torah and he created the world. And from then on, when Jewish people learn Torah, through their learning in Torah, they help sustain the world. So based on the level of Torah that a person learns, that's the type of divine flow he's able to draw down into the world. In the future, we know there will be a Torah Chadasha, there will be a new dimension in Torah will be revealed, which will give us a totally new understanding of creation, of Hashem, of the meaning of Torah. This revelation of Torah will bring about and will bring about a similar change in the creation, as a whole, that there will be a new heaven and a new earth. So through us renewing ourselves, comes a new year, we come from Simchas Torah, we're starting the Torah again. We start the Torah again, we start the Torah in a renewed way, with renewed vigor, renewed commitment, a deeper commitment. Through us renewing our vigor in a completely new way, so through that we bring a renewal to heaven and earth for the whole year. And more particularly through us learning about Mashiach and serving Hashem with the extra vigor, when a little bit of a taste, the foretaste of the coming of Mashiach, learning Torah with a completely selfless and dedicated mode of learning it just for the sake of Hashem and putting all our energies in it. This will hasten the time when there'll be the revelation of the new Torah and the revelation of the new heavens and the new earth. It should happen, take it from Yad Mamash.